Nothing was everyone expected a host of original new games, but the majority of those on show were sequels. While the games market is constantly bombarded with annually updated sport titles which are guaranteed to be big sellers, there are very few games which take a good idea and make it even better with a new improved follow-up title. So is the industry simply preaching to the converted by trading on established successes, or is there a valid reason for so many sequels?
Unlike movies, where a sequel, a number 2 or a number 3 is often worse, made by different people than made the original, in games, the sequels are usually made by the same team, and they're more familiar with the technology, they're more familiar with the core gameplay, they've heard from the customers what works and what doesn't, so we listen to them, and with the sequels, we make the game better, we make the technology better, so I actually believe the phenomenon of a Heavy Gear 2 or a Heretic 2 is actually a good thing for the gaming industry.
However, game players who enjoy the exploits of a particular character don't always get what they deserve in the next outing. Lara Croft may be a feisty female, but she does seem to be covering very similar territory in all 3 of her tomb raiding adventures, and it could be said that she just isn't as agile as she used to be. However, there are characters who can improve with age if the designers really put their minds to it.
Creating a sequel to a video game like Crash 1 and a sequel to a video game like Crash 2 has its pros and it has its cons. Definitely some of the pros is you can bring back the code, you have experience in making the gameplay, you're familiar with the character, you know what you're doing from the past, you don't get hit by as many new experiences. But at the same time, you've got to make a new look, you've got to make new feel, you've got to make new adjustments to the game that make it fresh. Otherwise, people will say, oh, it's just a level enhancement as opposed to a whole new game.
And of course, there are sequels which have been a long time coming, with updated versions of classics being released all the time. But yet again, are the designers playing it safe with known titles that are certain to have some degree of success? And are the buying public being cheated with games that show a real lack of imagination?
I think it's really good to go back in time, look at great products and say, you know what, let's breathe some new life into this, let's take a new twist on it, let's update it, but the basic play mechanic has already been done, it's already been explored, it's already been fleshed out, and you know, it gives us a chance to go back and make them even better.
There'll always be games that were never good enough in the first place to warrant having a sequel, but if enough time and money is spent on making improvements, then yes, sequels are worthwhile, just so long as the makers realise that game players aren't going to be fooled for long by a series of games that gets worse with each incarnation. Then again, there are of course titles that are crying out for a second instalment.